So welcome everybody. It is 27th October 2020, 5 p.m. local Jerusalem, Israel time. And today we're fortunate enough to have with us Mr. Moshe Shechter, all the way from Beit Shemesh, Israel. He's joining us to speak about Alma resource sharing with broker Rapid ILL, configuration and workflow. This is part 3 of our 4-part series on Alma resource sharing. I see from the names that many of you have been on our first and second sessions as well. We hope to see you next week for our 4th session. Before we begin, before we turn this over to Moshe, I know you're all very eager to hear him already, but before I turn it over to Moshe, I just want to point out here, I want to make sure everybody knows about our new education webinars page. If we do a Google search here for Ex Libris education webinars, we get to our new page, customer education webinars. And you can see here all of the upcoming sessions. This is what we've got tomorrow, for example, is the continuation of this one today. Each session is offered twice. So all of the upcoming sessions are here. You can click on a session to get to the registration page. And we also have an on-demand section here. On-demand. On-demand is all the recordings. Here's the recording from yesterday, Get to Know Dara. And this page can also be filtered by product or even by language. So you're all encouraged to check out this page and sign up for our upcoming webinars and view the recordings of previous webinars. And with no further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Moshe now.
Okay, thank you, Yoel.
Moshe, one moment while I turn this over to you. I seem to have lost the link here. One moment. Oh, there we go. So let me there we go. Cisco WebEx meetings. Okay. Moshe, can you share your desktop now?
I don't see an option yet. It hasn't turned on.
Okay. One moment. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, Moshe. I got you now. Right-click on Moshe and change his role to make presenter. Go ahead, Moshe. Take it away.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen now.
Yep, we see you, Moshe. Could you just speak up a tad?
Yes, I'll do that. All right. Okay, so thank you for joining us. Like you all mentioned, we will dedicate this session to talk about specifically Rapid ILL as a specific example of the broker model. So as you recall, we've been having sessions and we'll still have yet more sessions on the different flavors of the Alma resource sharing in Alma. And this one, again, we will dedicate it specifically to Rapid ILL, which will follow the structure that we try to do with the other sessions and the future sessions. We want to map this into the general flavors of how resource sharing is done in Alma, so you get the picture of where this fits into the general resource sharing options in Alma. Of course, talk about the different advantages, what you have to gain from working with Alma and Rapid, and the specifics, the Alma twists, or whatever the specifics, improvements, enhancements that we've done to that specific workflow. And of course, talk about the configuration aspects, as well as some of the workflow-related aspects. And of course, QA. So there are some questions here that have been sent in that I've put on slides here with some answers, but of course, we can take our time to speak about anything else that you want to ask as we go through this session. So we are going to talk about Alma and Rapid ILL, but this is not about Rapid ILL. Rapid ILL is a product in its own. It has lots of functionality and lots of different options. We are here to talk about Alma and Rapid ILL and their integration. And in that sense, Rapid ILL falls in this table that you've seen on the previous sessions as well, falls into that broker type of integration. So Rapid ILL, as you all know, is an independent product. So it is not part of Alma. It is a standalone product and does lots of wonderful things. And in that sense, when it is working with Alma, it is, you may think of it as a third-party product, a broker that is integrated with Alma, and we are here to talk about that integration. So in that sense, it falls into this column of the broker integration. It is, again, a broker. And in that sense, it is very similar to how other brokers work with Alma. We'll have another session to talk about generally other brokers, and there are many different other brokers that work with Alma. So in many senses, it is another broker. In other words, there's another system here that is doing the resource sharing magic. It is Rapid ILL. I'll try to raise my voice. Okay, so there's another system that is managing the resource sharing aspects of the process. This is Rapid ILL. The requests, like other broker requests, are actually managed by Alma on the patron's home library. And the pickup location, so to speak, is the patron's home library. Of course, when we're talking about Rapid ILL, we are talking about electronic requests, that is either book chapter scans or articles that are requested and received in digital form. So when we are talking about the patron's home library as being the pickup location, I should actually say it is, yeah, I'll try to improve again the audio. I hope that it is better. So the patron's home library is actually the patron's email, so that the patron will be receiving an email from the Alma institution, that is the patron's home institution. We'll see an example of that later. The last two rows here is where Rapid is somewhat different than other brokers. So normally when we're talking about a broker system, the patron experience sees that other system. So patron requests directly from that broker system, and the request is processed in another system. In the case of Rapid ILL and how it works with Alma, the patron experience is seamless. So the patron does not know, does not see any page that is not a Primo page. The patron uses only the patron discovery and the Primo request form, and the patron has no exposure to the fact that there's another system they are working behind the scenes. So the integration is full, as we'll see, and the patron experience is not that of having to go to another provider. We'll see that as we go through the configurations and a short demo of the workflow itself. And also in terms of the library workflows, so we see here that normally brokers may be defined as last resort. Rapid is an example of a broker system that is likely and recommended to be used as your first resort. So you will be using that system to send requests as a first attempt to that system to get the article or the chapter scan from Rapid ILL. And if Rapid ILL cannot fulfill the request because the article is not found in Rapid, then the request can flow on to the other members of your rota, as we will see. So it is a broker. It is an independent system that is integrated with Alma, but the integrations are somewhat different. So a few words about Rapid ILL itself. Rapid ILL, as you know, is a product that we have not developed at Ex Libris. It is a product that has been developed at the Colorado State University and has been functioning as an independent product for quite a few years. It has been developed, and most of its functionality has been fine-tuned for managing digital document delivery requests. So it is very well fine-tuned to manage requests that are for specific articles or for book chapter scans, and that's what it does wonderfully. It has very nice statistics that remain pretty high over the years, with very high success rate and very quick turnaround time. An average of 12 hours is, of course, an average. There are requests that take longer, but many requests do get fulfilled very, very quickly. And again, being that it is an independent product that has been acquired by Exlibris, it is already in wide production with hundreds of libraries already working with Rapid ILL. Not all of them are Alma libraries. So by actually using Rapid ILL, you're actually joining a community of hundreds of libraries that are already sharing articles and book chapter scans through Rapid ILL. But again, we're not here to talk about Rapid ILL. We are here to talk about Rapid ILL integrated with Alma. So the product itself, Rapid ILL, again, is an independent product. It works with other systems as well. And that's important to mention. So it has integration points with Iliad, with Relay, with other systems that are out there, and that will not change. So it remains an independent product. What we have done over the last couple of months is, being that it is now under the Exlibris umbrella, and it is an Exlibris product, we've worked hard to make the integration as seamless and smooth as possible, so that both patrons and staff do not need to feel in any way that they're working on two systems. So they are working, patrons, only through Primo, library staff only through Alma, but the integration is totally smooth, and no need for the staff and the patrons to feel that they're working through another system. So we'll see that as we'll talk about the configurations, and again, a short demo of how it works today. So if you are working with Rapid and you do follow the recommended steps for integrating it with Alma, this is what you have to gain: a very seamless workflow, all of the benefits of the Rapid system, but with an experience that is a fully Primo Alma experience. Patrons only going through Alma, patrons requesting anything through Alma, so that if they're requesting anything that is physical, it may go through your local managed or network managed RODA. If it is a request for a digital scan, then it can go through Rapid, but from the patron perspective, it is always the same experience. Discover through Primo, get the Primo request form, submit, and have the request processed. Internally, some requests may be managed through the Alma RODA for physical fulfillment. Some of these requests may be forwarded to Rapid for digital fulfillment, but the patron is absolutely not exposed to any of that happening. Likewise, also the staff experience is consolidated. So staff work only using the Alma task list on both the borrower and the lender side. So they have on the same Alma task list those requests that they process, for example, physically with other network members, but also those requests that they are managing through Rapid, either as borrower or as lender, all go through the same Alma task list, the same conventions that Alma uses, the facets, the row actions, the interface, absolutely the same, one place that does it all. The Rapid product itself is a system that requires very minimal maintenance. It is a cloud system, so there's no local installations involved. The account is set up for you. So working with these two systems, Rapid ILL becomes an absolutely seamless system behind the scenes. No need for any ongoing maintenance. We will talk about the publishing aspects that do have to be maintained. We'll talk about that. But other than that, there's no worries about having to maintain any integration or any other type of maintenance of that sort. Okay. There's a question here also about if you're not using Primo. So we'll keep getting back to that point. The Alma is the engine that is doing the resource sharing is integrated with Rapid. So it doesn't really matter what discovery you're using. The moment you get a request into Alma, Alma will have that processed with Rapid. So you may be using your own self-created web form to submit requests into Alma. You may be using another discovery that then triggers some email to your staff that create requests on behalf of patrons. In any case, the moment the request goes into Alma, it goes on with Rapid. One last thing here to mention is that you've probably all heard about Rapido and the next generation of resource sharing, the initiative of Rapido. RapidILL is one of the engines that Rapido uses as well, and that means that any of you that may be looking later at Rapido as your next phase in resource sharing, your work with Rapid will not be a throwaway, will not be wasted effort. Any of your configurations, anything that you set up, your workflows will be just the same when you then get onto to Rapido. So you may view this as your first step into Rapido as your next step with resource sharing. Rapido will be using RapidILL as one of its internal engines, but very much like the classic Alma resource sharing does. Okay. So, being a product that is in resource sharing, so like we like to do so many times with Alma generally, but also in resource sharing specifically, is that we have to accommodate to many hundreds of libraries working and different types of flavors of workflows and different preferences in terms of the amount of automation that goes into the process. So just like we do with other peer-to-peer and broker requests in Alma, there are many points within the workflow that you can, as per your preference, put mediation stops that enable you to stop the request and have the request stop for mediation. So we'll see these options as we'll go through this process. The configuration options, we will see them in a minute, are just the same configuration options that you have for Alma peer-to-peer. So you will not see any new concepts. Any of you that have been doing resource sharing in Alma and are familiar with the partner records, the RODA templates, all those nice options, you'll be seeing the same thing for managing the integration with RapidILL. No need for anything special there. And one last bit here is the fact that it works smoothly with other models. So you may be working using Alma as peer-to-peer and communicating with other network members and working with Rapid integrated simultaneously. So you can have a request start in Alma, go to Rapid and get fulfilled. But if it cannot be fulfilled in Rapid, just go on to your other peer-to-peer members. So let's take a minute. I did see some communications over the chat. Let's see if I can see anything here that would be right time now to refer.
Would you like me to read them out for you, Moshe?
That would be great if you could do that, Yoel.
Okay, so the first one is, so do all requests from non-Alma Rapid libraries come into Alma so that librarians do not need to manage a separate set of workflows in Rapid?
So yes, the big advantages, requests that you manage through Alma, it doesn't matter if they go on to Rapid or communicated with lenders in any other way, all in the same Alma task with same workflows, same interfaces, one place for managing all types of requests.
Okay, another one, Moshe. Someone asks, so if we're not using Primo as our discovery layer, this isn't going to be much use to us, right?
So yeah, I tried to refer to that before. So the discovery aspect of the process does not have effect in that. Requests, once they're in Alma, go through Rapid seamlessly. So it doesn't matter how they got created in Alma. They could have been created with a self-designed web form or other means, anything that creates the request in Alma.
Okay, and one other request here, Moshe, is that you stay close to the microphone
Okay, is it okay now?
with a loud voice. Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay. All right. So this here is kind of a diagram that shows the process in Rapid ILL. This single diagram here shows the different stops of a request on both the borrower and the lender side. You see that it is a very simple workflow where a borrower side create a request, it goes into the lender side, which may ship it and then have the borrower just receive it. That will be the main workflow and what happens the vast majority of these situations. Lenders may also reject a request for whatever reason or mark it as bad citation. I got something, some request, something that I cannot fulfill, or I don't understand what's being requested here. There's something wrong about this. It can turn it back as a bad citation. That will allow the borrower side to perhaps correct something about the request and have it resubmitted and then back into the workflow. Or if something is received and is not exactly what I expected as a borrower, I can also reject that request into Rapid. That is called not as cited or resubmit, as we call it in Alma, and that will have the request again go back into the Rapid workflow. Very simple workflow, and because of its simplicity, very quick to work. So, how does it look in Alma, and what it is like from the Alma perspective working with Rapid? So, as we'll see in a minute, being an Alma borrower, all that I have is pretty much a partner record. We'll see the details of that partner record in a minute. That partner record is what reflects my Rapid account for me. So I, as a borrower, can have a RODA that has Rapid as my first partner on my RODA, and then I can have a bunch of other partners on my RODA, partner A, partner B. That is just my RODA as a borrower. The moment my borrower request goes to Rapid, is assigned by Alma to Rapid as the first partner on the RODA, Alma will have that request injected into Rapid ILL, and Rapid ILL will do its magic to find the best lender. That best lender may be any Rapid library out there. It may be a Rapid library that is using Alma, but it of course may be any other Rapid library that is not even using Alma. Doesn't matter. Rapid finds the best lender using its own sophisticated algorithms that balance requests and take into consideration time zone differences and all lots of different considerations. But the request may then be fulfilled by the lender, regardless of whether it is an Alma lender or another lender that is using some other system, whatever that system is. From the borrower perspective, it is a borrower request that has been assigned to a partner that is that special Rapid partner that we'll see in 2 slides. That same Rapid partner is what the lender side also uses. So when a lender Alma configures that Rapid partner, Alma will be able to get lending requests into its own lending task lists, and these requests will show up in the lender task list. The request may have come from any borrower. Again, it may be an Alma borrower, it may be a borrower that is using any other system, any other borrower out there that is using Rapid ILL. may have its request forwarded to me as an Alma library. On my lender task list, they will show as a lender request that has come through and is requested by the Rapid partner. We'll see more information as we'll demonstrate that. But let's really quickly run through the configuration aspects. And they are very minimal and very familiar to those of you doing resource sharing in Alma. So the element, as I mentioned, is your Rapid partner. It is a partner record that you create like any other partner record. What is special about it is that it has a profile type that is not ISO, NSIP, is Rapid ILL. It's a specific profile type, and that is what you have to configure for your Rapid ILL partner. On the Parameters tab is where you configure your specific Rapid account, the one that will integrate with Alma. So the URL is something that Alma will create for you. You don't need to worry about it. What you do have to put in is your Rapid account credentials. So your username and your password need to go into these fields. Your Rapid code, which will normally be your username, so that has to be put in here, and the branch library. We'll see a minute where you get that information from, but of course, all these pieces of information need to be accurate for the integration to work. And there's another parameter here that you define, that is the default library owner. This parameter means when Rapid will get a lending request assigned to you, and that request will be forwarded to your Alma lending task list, resource sharing library that will be assigned that lending task. So if you are using one resource sharing library only, then it is simple. It is just your resource sharing library. If you are using multiple campuses that are doing the resource sharing separately and have therefore defined separate resource sharing libraries, you may have separate Rapid ILL partners and map each one to a separate resource sharing library. And that would mean that each one of these Rapid accounts, when it gets a lending request, it will flow to the relevant resource sharing library as configured here. So this is mandatory for mapping your Rapid account to a resource sharing library that will be the lender resource sharing library, maybe one partner record, different Rapid accounts or branches mapped to one resource sharing library. It doesn't matter. It will just mean that in Alma, you will see all of your lending requests in one task list owned by one resource sharing library, regardless of what Rapid account it came in through. So it is up to you. It really depends on your topology, your resource sharing topology, the way you manage your resource sharing libraries, and how you want to manage your requests, your lending requests that have come in through Rapid. Now that information is information that if you have a Rapid account, of course, then that's information that you have. When you access the Rapid web page, you log in using username and password. These are the username and passwords that you need to put up here. And again, normally that you code as well. The branch name, once you've logged in, you have this link up here. This is from the Rapid page. I've logged into my Rapid account here. And in my Rapid account, once I'm logged in, clicking here will show me my branch. And in my example, it is the main library. So it is very important that you would know what your branch name is. The information in here, down here, must be the same information that is over here, or the integration will break. So you have access to that information. If you have a Rapid account, of course, the Rapid folks will be glad to help if you have any questions about what you should put in there. That's it. Once you define the Rapid partner, it's almost all you need. You may optionally define a workflow profile for that partner. You do not have to, but you may. And you may want to define a borrower workflow profile if you want to allow patrons to cancel the request from Primo or staff to be able to cancel the request from Alma. it is not very much needed. Usually these requests have a very quick turnaround and don't get a chance to get canceled normally. But if you do want to have the cancel option show up on the Primo My Account request list, or allow staff to cancel the request from the Alma task list, you do have to attach a workflow profile to the Rapid partner and have the cancel options turn on. None of the other options are really relevant for the workflow. So this is optional, not mandatory. The Rapid partner is pretty much enough for you to work. Now, the next configuration here is what would enable you to automate your workflow with Rapid. So, you could just define the Rapid partner and, manually attach requests to the Rapid partner and manually send them away. That would work, of course. But assuming you would want to have an automated workflow where requests automatically get assigned to Rapid, what you would need to do is to create a Rota template. That's the known Alma resource sharing concept. So all of you, again, are probably familiar with that. A Rota template like I did right here. In this example, I just put one partner on this Rota template. It is my Rapid partner, and it is the only Rota template. Next, what I do is that I create my Rota assignment rules. And I create a Rota assignment rule that says if the request is requested digitally, then assign the Rapid template. The result of this rule will be that any request that comes into Alma, through Primo, through a web form, through an open URL, whichever way the request comes into Alma, if it is requested in digital form, Alma will assign that Rota template, which is actually the Rapid partner. So the result will be that any digital request is assigned to Rapid, and take that first rule on my Rota assignment rules. Then, as you know, the Rota assignment rules work top down. So any match is added to the request from the first and down. So if my first Rota assignment rule says digital request to Rapid, as demonstrated here, then Rapid will be the first partner assigned to any digital request. Of course, you can have other Rota templates assigned to your request at your preference, whatever you want to do with the request. These other Rota members will be activated if Rapid could not fulfill the request. For example, it is an article that is not in Rapid ILL. So this makes it seamless in the sense that if the request can be fulfilled in Rapid, it will just go automatically to Rapid, get fulfilled, and that's it. If it cannot be fulfilled by Rapid, you don't have to worry about it. We'll just skip the Rapid partner and move on to the other partners that you may define in your Rota. The last bit of the automation here would be to set up your sending boring request rules. These are rules in Alma that you use to automatically send a request. So you can have a rule that is called send to Rapid in my example, and the rule just says if the partner is Rapid ILL, send the request away. Now, the result of all of these configurations, the Rapid partner, the Rota template, the Rota assignment rule, and the sending rule, would be that request is created in digital form, just gets sent to Rapid if Rapid can fulfill the request, skips Rapid if Rapid cannot fulfill the request. Now, one little element to mention here is that for the auto send rule to take effect, the resource sharing library has to be set up to automatically activate locate profiles. That's the way that the Alma resource sharing works today. So to take advantage of these configurations and have requests automatically flow onto Rapid, you do need to activate that automatically activate locate profile checkbox on your resource sharing library configuration. Otherwise, the request may be assigned to Rapid but not sent automatically. So it would be recommended to have that turned on for that automation to work. Okay, very quickly, some customer parameters that you should be aware of, and their recommended setup. One is the parameter that is manages how you manage rejected requests. There's a parameter called rejected requests that you may use to set to borrowing. It will mean that if a request is rejected, if a borrow request is rejected, it remains active. That'd be useful for you so that if you have a request that has been sent to Rapid, but for whatever reason not fulfilled by Rapid, the request will remain on your active task list. So if, for example, you're not automatically assigning another rota, but want to manually handle these requests, you can still have the requests automatically sent to Rapid. If rejected for whatever reason by Rapid, they remain active on your task list, and you can manually add whatever other partners you want to add to continue the processing of this request. So it would be the recommendation to have that parameter set to borrowing, to leave requests that are rejected active, so that if Rapid rejected them, you can still manually further process them. The borrower document delivery maximum use parameter controls how many accesses the patron will have to that resource once the patron will receive that. As we'll see, the patron will receive an email from Alma with a link to the article. The access to the link is limited. Out of the box, the patron can access that article 2 times only. You can change that to whatever number you want, but this, of course, is to enable control of the accesses and to be able to meet copyright requirements that we have locally. The borrow document delivery is an automatically parameter. Out of the box is set to true, and it means that when the request is fulfilled, the borrower request is fulfilled, the patron will automatically get an email. So the patron has requested some article, some lender out there got that request and fulfilled it. The moment that the lender fulfills the request, your patron on the borrower side will get an email with a link without any staff mediation required. That's the out-of-the-box behavior of this parameter. You can change it, and we've seen libraries that do prefer to mediate that. Stop the request, take a look at the received file, make sure it is okay, and only then manually forward it to the patron through Alma, but still as a mediated action. Of course, our recommendation will always be to automate the process as much as possible, and that's why that's the default behavior of the system. The patron will just get the email without any staff intervention in between, but you can change that behavior.
Moshe, excuse my interruption. When you have an appropriate moment, there's 2 questions which came in.
Okay, so I'll just mention the last parameter here, and that's the cleanup days. The file remains when you receive as a borrower, you receive a file. It remains locally available for the user sharing staff and to the patron that has requested it for a default of 30 days. You can change that and have it a maximum of 90 days. And after 90 days, the file will be gone. Again, copyright restrictions in mind, and neither the staff nor the patron will have any more access to that file. Okay, so what are the questions, Yoel?
Okay, does the article delivery email come from Rapid or Alma? We haven't tried to configure this recently, as we were waiting for the delivery email integration to be finished, but we'll encourage libraries to set this up now.
Okay, so the email is an Alma email. We'll see that email in just a couple of minutes, and how to configure it. So it's an Alma email. It has your Alma logo on the email. We'll see that in just a minute.
Okay, one more, Moshe. Is there Alma integration with Rapid R as well as article book chapters?
Yeah, so I'm specifically describing now the Rapid and the electronic document delivery. That's where we have done all the integrations. So it is not about Rapid R. It is not about returnables. Some elements of this workflow will work the same for returnables, but obviously returnables have a much longer workflow that has not been done. So it is the digital document delivery that we're specifically discussing now. Okay, I will continue. Just a last bullet is that after you've done your configurations, there still needs to be an activation that we as exhibitors have to do for you. So once you've done your activations, your setup, your partner, your everything, you're ready to go. You still have to contact the exhibitors support so that we do some setup on the rapid side that will get it working. So you're not done when you're done. We still need to turn on a switch for you. Now about that email. Okay, so that was an excellent question. That email is an Alma email, and the next couple of slides are about that email. The email is the Alma document delivery notification letter. That's how it's called. That's an example of that email can be found on the there's a blog on the developers network about Alma letters. So all the different Alma letters are listed here, including our document delivery notification letter. There's a zip file here of examples that you can download. And using that, you can download a very nice example. We'll see in a minute how you can do that. And use that example to configure your own flavor of the email as you may want to do. So here I've actually a short recording of how you do that. You can see here that I've actually downloaded that file from that developers network page that I've just shown you. So here I have that file that I just downloaded. I can go on and just open that file. It is a zip file with all of the examples of all of the different Alma letters, including our document delivery one. So I can search for our document delivery, organization document delivery, and there's the sample XML that you can save locally, as I'm doing right now, putting it just on my downloads folder. And the next thing will be that I want to upload that and use that as an example. That's a good example because it has some data in there that will help you see almost real email and make it easier for you to work on the branding. So, I'm accessing right now the letters configuration, which is where you probably know how to configure Alma letters. There's our document delivery letter. I'll go in and edit that one. I can go to the letter examples tab, and from here, use the upload letter example option to just upload that XML. So the example that you have out of the box, you do have an example there, default letter. Doesn't have much data in there. We're working on enhancing that, but for now you can take that example and it will be great. You just upload it like that, do preview letter, and you'll see exactly what the letter will look, including your own logo up there and some metadata in there, so you can get a sense of what the letter will look like. And you can, of course, use it to configure. Go to the template tab and change anything about the XSL, change the wording using the labels, all the nice stuff you can do with the other Alma letters. But it would be recommended for you to upload that file and use that XML like I demonstrated right now, so you can use something that has some nice data in there. Another tip would be that in the XSL of that file, there is a section there that comments out the links if you don't have a real file, a real request. And obviously, this is not a real request there, so the letter does not have the links. So it would be recommended when you configure the letter to just comment out these rows like I'm doing right now. That will help you see what the letter will look like, even when you don't have a real request behind the scenes. So you just comment it out, and you see now the letter has these links up here, and you can see what they look like. These are the links that the patron will receive. That's the email the patron will get, and these are the links clicking on these will lead the patron to the article. The out-of-the-box letter comes with 3 links here. One that allows authentication through your local LDAP, and the others that allow SSO authentication. So the patron clicking on any of these links will be required to authenticate, and only after successful authentication will get access to the article. So if you are using only SAML authentication and Shibboleth, you probably want to remove the other links. You probably want to change the label here to say, just click here for access. If you do have different authentication options, then you probably want to leave those that are relevant for you. And again, change the wording, something like if you're a community user, click here. If you're a student, use click here. So you can configure these links. Okay, a few minutes to talk about setting up Rapid as lender. Let's see, y'all, are we going until the round hour, or do we have a few minutes beyond that?
It's scheduled until 15 minutes past the hour. If you feel like you need less time, that's okay too. We can stop and have a discussion, whatever you prefer. It's scheduled until 15 past.
Okay. So I'm afraid that we have only 15 minutes, but if you have another 30, then we'll be able to make it. Okay, thank you. Okay, so a few words about, we've been talking about our side until now. We talked about the partner record and the email that the patron gets. A few words about setting up your lender side. Rapid knows about your inventory based on information that you publish from Alma to Rapid. And Rapid needs to know about everything that you have in your inventory. Obviously, it needs to know about your physical and electronic inventory that you share through resource sharing. That way, it will know to assign requests to your institution. But it is also recommended that you upload it to Rapid, that you publish to Rapid. Also, those local holdings that you have, that even if you do not share them through resource sharing, it will be very useful to Rapid for Rapid to know about those, because then Rapid can block requests that patrons place for something that you locally own. Now, keep in mind, Rapid is very well fine-tuned to identify your exact article coverage. So if patrons request a specific article that you do have locally, you do not, your license terms don't allow you to share that resource sharing, but you do have locally, the patron would have access to that, but the patron just submitted a blank form requesting that article. If you have uploaded to Rapid information about your electronic collections, even those you don't share, Rapid will know that this article is something you have and stop that request from being processed, and the request will stop in your BOR request task list as a request that is waiting for your mediation, ready to be sent. And a note there will say Rapid identified you have this, and then you can take action either to just send an email to your patron, a cancellation email to your patron saying we have it locally, just access it, here's your link. Or if you still want to request it, you will be able to override that and still push the request to Rapid. Because Rapid knows about your local inventory, it can stop your locally owned requests from flowing on. And that's very useful because, again, Rapid will do very good identification down to the specific article and the specific coverage of your article. So it is recommended you publish everything, share or not. There are a few steps to setting up your lender side. For the publishing process to work between Rapid and Alma, it is based on OAI, which is the best way to have two systems integrate for this purpose. So you do need an OAI integration profile. You do need your sets, which define, we'll talk about them, but these are the sets that you define. Okay, here's the set of what I share, my electronic collections, my ebooks that I'm willing to share. Here's my set of the ebooks that I'm not willing to share. here's the set of my e-journals that I'm willing to share, and here's the set of the e-journals that I'm not willing to share, and so on and so on. We'll talk about that. And this perhaps is the, from your perspective, perhaps the only hard part about this is, you have to know what you can share, what your licenses allow you to share electronically, and be able to create sets that include all these collections, these physical books that you can or cannot share into these sets. We'll take a few minutes to talk about them, just a couple of minutes. But then your last piece is to create your publishing profiles. The publishing profiles for each one of these sets is what takes the information in these sets and allows the OAI server to expose that information for rapid harvest. Now there's a so on these slides there's links to this document here on our CKC that explains the different steps of this. So of course talk about that right now. The OAI part of the integration profile is very simple. There isn't really much there that you need to do. So basically all you need is to access the integration profile. Here's my my Alma. Just take a look at my integration profiles over here. In my integration profiles, one of the integration profiles that I have is my OAI repository definition. That's my OAI integration profile. It's a very simple profile. The only thing that you may want to take into consideration here is that here you can control what are the allowed IPs, so who can access your OAI information. You may set it up as I did here in my demo to just allow anybody. So IP here is not really a limit, it allows anybody. But on that CPC page, there are a list of IPs you may be required by your IT to limit access to that OAI server. There are a list of IPs here that you need to allow to enable rapid access, because of course rapid does need access to this information. So you need to define some allowed IP in there. It could be anything, it could be these three IPs if you are required by your IT to limit access to the OAI. So that's your first step. And then the sets and the publishing profiles. We'll talk about the sets in a minute, but just a quick note about the publishing profiles. In the publishing profiles, the community tab, there are publishing profiles that we've created for you to use. So when you go on to start doing your configuration, and you'd like to create these publishing profiles, you don't have to work hard. There are some publishing profiles in there that we've put in the community zone for you. So I'm accessing my publishing profiles, going into the community tab. There are some here that are called Excel profile for RapidILL. There are some previous search. And these are profiles you can just go on and just localize. Note that to have the option to copy these profiles, you need to have catalog administrator role. So I've received some questions about accessing this list, but I can't copy. You need a role that allows that. Catalog administrator, I believe, is one of them. There may be others, but that's all you need to do. You need to just localize these profiles, and then they are in your institution list of profiles. Once you do localize them, you still will need to do some editing. So it's not like you're just copying, that's it. Because for these profiles, you need to set for each one of them what set they will be using. So if you have a profile that publishes your e-journals, you have to link it to your e-journal set. If you have a set of e-journals that you do not share, you have a profile for those, and you need to link the profile to the set. So you do need to go into each one of these profiles that you localize and link them to the sets. And again, we'll talk about the sets. That's our next topic. And in the Data Enrichment tab, everything here is set up for you. You don't have to worry about anything here. You do have the link resolver URL is something that you have to configure because obviously each institution will have its own link resolver URL. So that's something that you will have to set up. And again, there's some information in this article here about the publishing profiles and about setting up the link resolver base URL. Depends if you are working with Primo or Primo V, maybe different formats of what you need to put in there. So the information for what exactly you need in there is here in this article for you. But in terms of the publication, the publishing profiles, it is also just, the number of sets that you have, that's the number of profiles you need. Just localize them, link those profiles to your local sets, and make sure that you have the correct link resolver base URL on the profiles. You're done. The sets is where you will have to define what of my physical inventory I am willing to scan and share as book chapter scans. What of those items I'm not willing to share? What of my electronic collections I can share and what I cannot? So you have to go on and create these sets. If I refer again to that article, which I hope you will find useful, there's a list of these sets here. But generally, you will see that I will have a set for my print books, those that are lendable and those that are not lendable. For my ebooks, I would have a set of lendable and not lendable, etc. For my print journals, lendable, not lendable. For my e-journals, lendable and not lendable. And for each one of them, you will have to define, of course, the condition, the search query of that set. There is information here about how to define that. But generally, when you are defining your physical items, and that means that here you would like to define what of your physical inventory you are willing to share as book chapter scans, then you would create a set such as this. It is a set of physical titles. Material type is a book. And you will list here all your collections, whatever you use to identify these locations, libraries, locations, anything that helps you identify what of your inventory you're willing to share as book chapter scans. So you can just create it here. And that's it. When an item will be added to any one of these libraries that I've configured here, it will be published to Rapid. Rapid will know about that item, and will know that you have this book and you're willing to scan a chapter of it, and you therefore use that information to suggest to the lender. In case of electronic collections, this may be a little more complicated. Your basic query is to say, search for electronic items where the material is journal or book, depending on whether it is ebooks or journals. And of course, the availability is that it is available. So this is, of course, for all of your electronic sets. But then you will need to add more conditions to this set to say, this is all of my electronic items, but I want to create a set of those that are shareable and a set of those that are not shareable. So I need to add a condition here for these are the ones I can share, these are the ones I cannot share. Again, going back to that document, there are some recommendations there. I will focus on one of them in the next couple of minutes. And that would be be best for you, I think, to be able to identify on your collections some information about whether you share this or not. For example, using an internal description, some note in here that would say, for example, share through Rapid, not share through Rapid. A note that, of course, would mean you have to maintain ongoing on your electronic collections, but that will make it easy to create a set that will just have that additional condition there that says, if my internal note is Lendable International, that's the one that I chose in my example, then this is my Lendable. And if the internal description does not have this text, then that's my not Lendable. And that will make this set something that you configure once and forget about. As long as you continue to manage your collections with that internal description on the internal description note, it will just get automatically published to Rapid with the routine publishing process, and you don't have to go back and revisit that set every time. So of course, if you have not defined these notes yet, it would mean some initial efforts to add these notes, and it would mean set up your internal process to continually add these notes when you activate your collections. But it may be worth your effort, because it will enable you to create a set, this logical set, and just forget about it. Just have the scheduled publishing to Rapid process just work behind the scenes every month, whatever, and just continually update Rapid about your Lendable and not Lendable collections without you having to ever go back to the set and change anything about it. Now, with that in mind, we have also published an app in our app center. So those of you that have been following and are aware of this initiative, you can add apps to Alma. And one of these apps that we've published with this use case in mind is a quick updates app that enables you to bulk update your collections with all kinds of information, including that internal description. So, you can go back to your list of collections and make this effort of identifying those that you can share, and then in bulk updating them with that internal description node using that app. That's a tool that should make it easier for that initial effort of creating that internal node. And again, it would make it much easier for the ongoing maintenance of the publishing process to that. So we do recommend that as an option, of course, acknowledging there's an effort here to make that initial setup, but it would probably be worth it. Okay, let's have a quick look at the workflow itself. So we've been talking about the configurations until now. I do have a little clip here that shows the process end to end, just a few minutes. So for those of you that haven't yet seen what it looks like, here's a workflow. I'm accessing Primo, I'm doing my search. This is an article that I, as patron, am using Primo to search. I happen to find that article, whatever, in CDI, wherever, but I don't have access to it. I do have the resource sharing option. I get the form, that's the Primo form, nothing special about it. It is obviously pre-populated. That's how the Primo form works, including the email. Everything is here on this form. Pretty much all the patron needs to do is agree to the copyright terms, and that's it. The request is submitted. So that was the initial discovery process for the Primo. Again, it doesn't have to be. And here's my Alma on the borrower side. The result of this request submission is that now in my Alma task list, I'll change this to look at the active requests and facet this to my new requests. And here's my article request. It's in Alma. You notice the partner, Rapid ILL, based on these configurations we've been discussing, and the request is already sent. Also based on these configurations, we can see that the external identifier is the Rapid identifier because the request has already been sent to Rapid. So the external identifier here has been assigned by Rapid. And we see that we already know who the lender is. Rapid has assigned a lender, and in Alma, we see the partner is Rapid, but we know that the lender is the Open University, that Rapid has communicated back to me as Alma on the borrower side, so I know who my lender is. That information will flow on into analytics. So you not only know that this request went to Rapid, you also know, there, you also know who is the actual lender. Okay, let's rewind that to where we were. Okay. Okay, so here's the request. Again, the request is on Rapid. Sent. That's all because of my automated rules. Of course, I do not have to set them up, but this demonstrates the automatic workflow. Okay, so no mediation required. The request has been submitted through Primo, and it's actually already on its way to the Open University vendor. So this is my Open University vendor, and Alma institution in my demo. I'm going into the lending task list, and I expect to see this request here in my lending task list, my today request, and here's my article request. We can see the request. We can see all of the article information in here. We see who the borrower is, like we saw on the borrower side of the lender. We also see on the lender side of the borrower. All that remains is go to manage fulfillment options and just get to the article for the purpose of downloading it and shipping it away. So I went through manage fulfillment options and got access to the article. Actually, the access is being resolved. The Alma resolving is down to the article level. So you can see here that the query that Alma created includes specific article information. It really depends on the vendor, whether you get to specifically the article or not. But many times it will take you right down to the article, where all you have to do is just download the PDF in order to be able to ship it. So the lender workflow is very quick. You get the request, you click Manage Fulfillment Options, you get to the article, you download it, and again, the link from Manage Fulfillment Options will take you where the vendor allows it, down to the article. The next thing that I need to do is just ship item digitally. Just upload the document that I've downloaded. I can do it right now. Downloads folder. No requisites on the name of the file, on its location, doesn't matter. Just upload it back to Alma, and that's it. The request is done. From the lender task list, it is out of your active task list. It's out, it's done. It is still there in your completed list of requests. So, you can still see it, but it is a ship digitally request, no longer active in your task list. Back on the borrower side, the requests, it may take a couple of minutes, but here's a recording, so we can skip these couple of minutes. After a couple of minutes, the request will just get completed. So that if I just refresh this task list, the request is out of my active task list. And again, no staff mediation here. So the request just went rapid, fulfilled by lender, and that's it. The borrower side no longer sees this request only in the completed list as a completed request. No mediation in this process at all.
Moshe, excuse me, I'm just going to give you a 5-minute warning, please.
Okay, thank you. This is the patron email that we saw before. These links. The patron just clicks on that link. It requires authentication. So the patron will authenticate. And just get the article. And that's it. That is the entire workflow, end to end. As you can see, the only mediation that was required here is on the lender side to actually download that file and upload it back to Alma so that it gets fulfilled. The patron got the email. As I mentioned, the email to patron part can be mediated, so you don't have to have it go automatically. And the staff also have access to this file. Show file I'm doing right now shows that staff can also access that file. Again, it remains there for for 30 days, you can extend that to beyond 30 days, up to 90 days access to that article. And the staff also has there a send file to patron option that will resend the email if there was anything wrong with the email. That's the workflow, very quick and very automated. Of course, you can stop at different stops there, but that's that's an automated flavor of it. So we do have 4 minutes. So some questions that I did get in advance. So here's about the process. Very nice. We want to set it up. Can you do that in Sandbox? So technically yes, but that will not be the way to go. Your Rapid account is a production account. You don't have a Sandbox account in Rapid. The Rapid setup is very minimal, is very quick. So you have a production account requests that you request through Rapid or get as a lender through Rapid a production request. That's why we don't recommend having this go through your Sandbox. The Rapid process, the Rapid setup process does allow you to start slow. So you can have minimal amount of lending requests come in until you're happy with the workflow as a lender. So you don't want to get bombarded with dozens of requests on day one. So Rapid can stop that, and you don't get a lot of lending requests, but you do get them into your Alma production account. And on the borrower side, of course, you have full control. So you can stop it for mediation. You can test it with your own testers before you expose it to your patrons, because there is a Rapid partner that you can use as you want, manually on selected requests, automatically only on requests that are submitted by your testers. So you can take it slow in terms of configuring your borrower side, but the recommendation would be, yes, you do it on production, very slow if you want in the beginning. You can be sure it all works before you ramp it up and open both the borrower and the lender side for full production use. The process of activating, so as we mentioned, you do your setup in Alma. There's some switch that we need to turn, so Xlibris support needs to be contacted to turn it on for you. These processes don't depend on one another, so you can ask Xlibris to turn it on and still work on your integration, or do your your aspects of the configuration and then ask Xlibris to turn it on, whichever you're comfortable with. Also, the borrower side and the lender side do not depend on one another. So for example, turning on the borrower side is very minimal. All these publishing sets, OAI, all that is for the lender side. You can turn on the borrower side and still work on your setup of the lender side. Doesn't depend on one another. And the borrower side is very minimal. So you can start with your borrower side and in parallel work on your lender side. Questions that we already have with some libraries that already have Rapid integrated to another broker. For example, this one is a relay system. The same for Iliad. So you may have already active Rapid account that is already integrated. We are still formulating the exact recommendations here. So heads up, we're working on that, and hope to soon have an accurate recommendation as to how exactly you do the transfer from an active in production account that is working with your relay or Iliad system to have it work with Alma and enjoy the benefits of working with the Alma task lists. So heads up, more information is soon to come about the exact details of that. Just one or more questions here. Multiple Rapid branches and accounts. So you may have, this is not very common, but does exist. You may have multiple accounts, multiple Rapid branches. You can integrate them with Alma. It's just a matter of having multiple Rapid partners in Alma. So each one is configured for your specific, for the specific account, the specific branch, and they can work in parallel, map to one library, map to multiple libraries. We talked a bit about that earlier in this session. So that should work as well. And I think one last here is about the lending off times. That's a configuration that you do in Rapid. So if the library is closed in Rapid, configure that in Rapid. Currently, the setup in Alma is separate. So you have inactive time in Alma and you have Rapid lending off times. They are configured currently separately. So if the library closes for lending, resource sharing temporarily, you have to separately turn it off in Rapid and in Alma. In fact, turning off Rapid would mean to stop document delivery requests from coming in, and Alma would turn it off entirely. Okay, so just last two comments is that what are we still doing? We're still identifying some last enhancements to the integration, which works very nicely in Plan already. But for example, the option to override a self-ownership situation is something we cannot yet do in Alma, but it is just a month or two away from us. So if Rapid rejects a request because of self-ownership, currently you cannot override that in Alma, but it is just 2 releases, I believe, away from us to be able to do that from within Alma. And also we will be working on integrating the lending off times. We just talked about that. So you can have one place where you configure it for both Alma and Rapid. That will be yet a few more months to come. But that is just some of the plans that we're working on. And just in time, I think. So thank you. I don't know if there were any more questions that came on the chat, but
I'll send them to you, Moshe. If there are, you can respond directly. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We hope to see you next week for part 4 of this webinar series. And we'll be posting this recording to the page we showed at the beginning and notifying everybody via the Alma list. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day. Thanks a lot, Moshe.